country, and really honored to have Robert on here today. So Robert, if you could just give a little bit more background about yourself, and then the floor will be yours. He's going to do about a 20 to 30-minute presentation, and then we're just going to open everything up in the end for Q&A. Awesome, Stephen. Congrats on a $1 million plus sale. Thanks for sharing that win as well. And if y'all have any questions too, you can put them in the chat, and I'll go through the chat at the end, and we'll help answer any questions that you may have had. And then Robert, the floor is yours. Really grateful for you to join us today, my friend.
You know, Nathan, thanks so much for having me. It's awesome to be here with you guys. You know, it's been an awesome, my win today is being here with you guys. My win is being able to share something, hopefully, that one of you guys needs to hear today that will change the projection of your family's life. Because what I want to set the basis with is when we're helping clients, the way we help clients, it's not just affecting you and your client in the moment. This is affecting your grandchildren's grandchildren. Like, you have to understand the gravity of the business that you're building is either going to be duplicatable, repeatable, and generational changing, or you're going to miss out on opportunities that you could have served a client at a high level, like Dan Porter did when he told this client, hey, you shouldn't sell. That brings up equity with your client relationally, which you can't put a price on. And now guess what happens? That client feels served, seen, and heard and loved on. Who do you think they're going to keep coming back to? Dan. Dan's going to have opportunities to serve that client for years and decades to come. And what does that equal? Well, the end of a relationship, of a transaction, equals a commission check. See, a commission check is the essence of a job well done. So if we could keep first things first, we're here to serve the clients at a very high level, everything else will work its way out. But if you're not setting the standards, which I'm going to get into in a little bit, you're not serving your clients. So a little bit about my background. On October 30th of this month, I will be in business for 20 years. I started on the business at 26 years old in Miami Beach, Florida, so not too far from some of you guys. I didn't know anybody that was going to trust me at 26 years old, because my wife is 6 years older than me, and sometimes she's 7 years older than me. I tell her all the time, though, I rubbed off on her, because as we've been married for 25 years, she keeps looking younger. I get older, right? And we have 4 beautiful children. Our oldest son is 25, Robert. We have a daughter, Ariana, who's 22 years old. Our son, Angelo, who works with us, is 20. And then we call him Baby D, but he's the biggest out of all of them. He's 6'2". He's 18 years old. He's a senior. So we're going to be empty nesters pretty soon. And those are my biggest accomplishments. Being married for 25 years, coming from a family that was divorced twice by the time I was 6, that was a big accomplishment for me. Being at all my kids' games, having a business that's worth living and enjoying. Like, my son Angelo has never known anything else but real estate. Like, I got into real estate 1.5 months after he was born in 2005. Now, they said in 2005, when I got into business in Miami at Gold Coast School, they said about 2 months into the education, it was going to take 9 months to sell your first home. So you better have some money in the bank. And I was like, why didn't you tell me this on like the first week? I would have picked something else. But because I'm type A and I was already so far into it, I decided, hey, let's go at it. I got introduced to a guy named Mike Ferry at the time, and I started pounding the phones because, as I said, my wife's older than me. So all of her friends were about her age, and all their husbands were my dad's age. Miami typically doesn't have a bunch of older women and young men, from what I saw. They used to call me her Ashton Kutcher when we first got together, because there was a difference in age. So I had to make a living for our family, and I ended up selling not one home in 9 months. I sold 11 homes in my first 90 days. Cold calling, FSBOs, expired. And that gave me the confidence to move up to Rochester, New York, which is about an hour where I'm from, in Syracuse. And I learned right away it was way too cold, and my wife did not like it. And a happy wife's a happy life. So I came out here for a Mike Ferry conference and fell in love with San Diego in 2007, moved my whole family and my pregnant wife, we had 3 kids at the time, she was pregnant with our 4th, to San Diego during what I didn't realize was the worst real estate recession in U.S. history. So I just want to be real with you. Can I be real with you guys?
Absolutely.
I went bankrupt a year after I got here, a year and a half after I got here. I just got to be real. Now, I call it a voluntary bankruptcy because I was making 6 figures in telecommunication between 22 and 24 years old. I ran 3 divisions for the largest privately owned telecom company in the U.S. But this is the deal. I'm unemployable. I'm not a guy that should be working for anybody. I don't like being told what to do. I like telling people what to do. I like loving on clients. I'm an entrepreneur. So it just wasn't a good fit for me. And I remember my wife gave me a monster.com. Anybody remember monster.com ads? She gave me a monster.com ad and said, hey, why don't you go back to corporate America? You get paid 130, 140, 80, 90. We won't starve. And I read that book, Think and Grow Rich, and I burnt the bridges. So I'm also going to ask you guys in this market we're in to burn the bridges of thinking you're going to get out. If you think you're getting out of this market and this is, you got a plan B, I'm going to ask you to get off this Google call right now and go apply for that job. Go give your resignation in, hand off your listing or your one lead to the one person in your office you trust, and then get on with your life. Because unless you have burnt the bridges, you'll never get to see how great you possibly could be. If you have any outs, you'll take them. Okay. And I'm just going to be honest. I'm always honest with people, right? I've been blessed to be ranked as high as 6th in the US for EXP in December of last year, 10th in January. In San Diego, Real Trend Magazine rated me 52 out of almost 14,000 agents. I was 30th in North America at one point for Keller Williams, out of 140,000 agents, team, solo, everybody. And you know what? I've been a member of Gary Keller's Top 100 Mastermind. I was honored to be mentored by Gary Keller for 3 years. And now I'm getting mentored by Leo Pereira, who is awesome, being part of the top 250 mastermind here at EXP. I've had multiple 7-figure GCI years being referral based only with about a $600 a month marketing budget. I'm not dealing with Zillow leads. I'm not dealing with people that don't know me, like me, or trust me. I'm dealing with a high trust relationship. I've already broken 7 figures, closed and pending this year. And I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you, it's possible. And to impress upon you, I came to San Diego not knowing anybody. It's the closest to an immigrant I'll ever be. I moved from New York. I'm an Italian New Yorker with my Colombian wife, who is a 2nd-generation immigrant or 1st-generation, to San Diego, not knowing how to say the name of the streets. So I'm just telling you, there's no excuses, and I'll tell you this, like, my story has 3 Ds to it: divorce, dyslexia, and drug addiction. So I didn't quite have a great launching pad for success. I spent 7 months of my life in inpatient rehab from 18 to 19. I'm not going to dive into my past. I'm just going to tell you that I've had setbacks, and I know you've had setbacks. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is the setback will give you a plan B if you don't have a growth mindset. If you're a closed mindset person, you're going to have a hard time in this business. Because this is the deal. We're going to have ups and downs in this business all the way up to your potential. Just get used to it, to your potential. And if you don't have a growth mindset, you're going to get taken out of this business. And I don't want to see anybody get taken out of this business, because I think everybody on this call is committed to growth. I know TJ and Nathan are committed to your growth, whether you're on their team or not on their team, if you're in their brokerage or not in their brokerage. These guys. I've had the pleasure of being in top agent masterminds with them, and these guys care. And these guys lead with care, and these guys share. And that's why we're here right now. When they asked me to be on this call, I was like, absolutely 100%. Because if I can just help one person not get through what I went through, then I'd love to do that. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you a lot of great things that I had to learn the hard way. Write that down. A lot of great things I had to learn the hard way. I was blessed to get coached by some of the top coaches in the country, and I could stand on their shoulders and see further, faster. And they would show me, hey, don't go that way, because I thought it would work and it didn't. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about. The things that I tried that didn't work, the things that I didn't have to try because someone was able to bless me with some knowledge, right? Just one idea from this call or any Zoom call you're on could change the trajectory of your career. One idea I got from TJ and Nathan at the last mastermind rat in Scottsdale was putting a 3% close on every single buyer that we're going to request a credit. I've been doing it on all of them, $1 million deals and up, and they've worked. And you know what? That's helped the GCI. That's helped my GCI. It's helped my showing specialist GCI. It's helped my clients get closing costs they wouldn't got. So why is that? Because you got to be humble, you got to be hungry, and you got to be teachable no matter what level you're at. When they were sharing with me, I'm absorbing information because they know what they're talking about. And I share things with them and they absorb that information. That's called masterminding. So I'm going to ask you guys to put your pride aside if you're a top producer or if you're a brand new producer, and you're a superstar in the making, as I like to say, just know it's possible. It's possible. So this call is about having standards. This call is about setting standards. And this call is about having a clear conversation with people up front. And this is why. It's the highest form of customer service that you can provide your client when you have standards. Standards and accountability are showing love to your clients. There's two mindsets I want you guys to have. Okay, I'm going to invite you into this. The first mindset, and I'm just going to say this off the bat, I'd rather see the top of your head than your eyeballs, but I want you guys to take notes. Because if you're not going to implement what I'm sharing, then this is nothing more than entertainment. Information not implemented is entertainment. I know I can be funny. At least I think I am. I know I can be good to listen to. But listen, I want you to take your pen, like my good friend Brent Gove talks about it. And Brent Gove says this: your pen is a spear to stab a good idea and get it caught on a piece of paper so it doesn't leave you. Take that pen and stab a good idea. Okay. So the two thoughts that I want you guys to take, the mind shifts that we're going to set the premise of this is, number one, I don't waste time. I don't waste time. Why don't I want to waste time? Because I want to help clients at the highest level. Think about this. If you have 10 clients, 10, and one of them is on your radio wave and they're doing what you're asking, but 9 aren't, it's like trying to herd, 9 kids with severe ADHD and you're going on a field trip, or trying to herd a bunch of cats. Guess what? Your attention is going to those 9 and it's away from the one. The one, like Dan just talked about, could be the one that continues to come back to you time again. And understand this, they're not just coming to you, they're referring people to you. So if you respect them first before even yourself, you're not going to waste their time and you're not going to waste your time. Mindset number 2, I separate, you need to write this as a mantra, I separate the serious from the curious. I separate the serious from the curious. That's all we're doing is sorting and sifting when people come your way. When I train agents, I have a coaching company and I teach them how to have an efficient, productive, effective, and profitable business that's underlined on selfless. That's my core values, peeps, by the way. I teach them that, like, you have to have a mindset that you're sorting and sifting and you're separating the serious from the curious to avoid wasting time, going back to mindset number 1. And I'm interviewing people for that. So I'm going to give you a little mind shift change here with your clients. How many of you guys, when you guys go on an appointment, you feel like you're getting interviewed? Be honest. Do you guys feel like you're getting interviewed by the client? So I want you to switch your paradigm. You no longer being interviewed by the client primarily. You are interviewing the client. And I want you to tell your clients that up front. I tell every buyer and every seller, I'm interviewing you. This appointment we're going to have on Tuesday, it's going to be an interview. And what I'm interviewing you is to make sure that you're a good fit for my team's culture. You're a good fit for my world. Because this is the deal. Not every person is a good fit for me, and I'm not a good fit for every person. So you get to interview me as well. At the end of our appointment together, we get to decide to work with each other. Because 2 hallucinations I have. If you don't trust me, you're not going to listen to me in the heat of battle. That's going to be really awkward. If you don't trust my professionalism, then I have nothing to offer you, because there's 14,000 other agents that can help you in San Diego. You need to know that I'm your number 1 option. If you don't believe I'm your number 1 option, then we're not a good fit. Fair enough? And they're like, wow, I just did a big takeaway. I just established value. I just established I'm not desperate. I just established it's a privilege to work with me, and it's a privilege for me to work with them. Respect goes both ways, right? Now, this is what happens. I tell them too, and this is the introduction call. I don't have squeaky wheels in my business. Do you know why? And they're like, why? Because I want you to feel like you're one of my only 1 or 2 clients I'm working with, even if we have 20 other clients. Is that fair? Is that the concierge service that you want? Because that's what I'm willing to give you, and that's what I give everybody. Yeah, no one says no to that. And you know what the other good news is? 98% of the people that I interview with sign a contract with me, which means we both agree that it's a good fit. And based on this conversation so far, I think we're going to be a good fit. But we're still going to have the meeting and we'll decide. Fair enough? So now I'm establishing I'm not desperate. Because what do most people think about real estate agents? They think we're unpaid taxi cab drivers and tour guides. That's what they think about us. They think we're a dime a dozen. You have to bring your value up. No, I am not going to be the kind of guy that you're going to come, or gal, and tell me if you need neurosurgery because you have a brain aneurysm, or you need a heart surgery to cut your foot open to get there. That's not going to happen. I'm the professional. I'm going to lead this ship. Matter of fact, I was on a buyer consultation on a side note last week, and it was a past client who I didn't know got remarried, and her new husband's on the call, and he wouldn't get on the camera because when I found out she was married, I said, hey, we need to get him on the call. I thought you were single still when I got your pre-approval from the lender. And she said, no, I'm married. I go, great. Let me talk to your husband. Her husband stops me in my presentation and says, stop selling me on San Diego real estate. I know it's great. We're ready to buy. And he started trying to take control. And I go, hey, Zach, I think you got the wrong memo, brother. I'm going to stop this right now. I need to let you know how things are going to be. I am the captain of this ship, and I'm going to bring you to the destination that's going to serve your family. If you think you can get your family there better than me, or you have a better captain in mind, then by all means, let's exit the ship right now, and I'm going to stop the meeting. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Now, I'm going to ask you that. I'm not saying that to impress you guys, but how many of you are willing to say that to a client? Like, I put him in check in a very caring, loving way. And then I backed it up by saying, guy, I've been working with your wife. I've known her for 8 years. I knew her before she had a baby. I knew her before you. I care about Leslie and I care about you. And she wouldn't be coming back to me if I didn't care about her. You know, your wife's an intelligent person, right? And he's like, yeah. Well, you need to make a decision. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect you. See, this is the deal, guys. Write this down. If I generate, I won't tolerate. And I'm going to ask you to have that mindset before you do even one deal this year, before you've done your first deal or your 100th deal or your 1,000th deal or your 300th deal, like the Abbott Group has just done. So we can give them actually a round of applause for that one. They just crossed their deals. Come on, guys, for the year. All right. So number one, what we're going to learn today is how to set a clear expectation. We're going to learn how to say hard things to your clients. We're going to learn why setting an expectation is right. And I'm going to run you through a very high level of my listing process. Okay. So now that I've laid the groundwork here, learn how to set a clear expectation. Number one, give you freedom to your clients as a result. Isn't that what you guys want? Like, it's going to give you guys freedom. Do you guys want to feel like you have a chain around your foot with a client? No. Listen, it's going to transform your business. When you truly adopt, I have standards and I am willing to say things to people and be honest, it's going to truly transform your business. And you know what it's going to also do? Protect your time. Protect your time. Like, I've never missed one of my 4 kids' games. Well, never is a big word, maybe 1 or 2. I have 4 kids and they've been in multiple sports, probably 1,000 outings, and I've only missed 1 or 2. Right? Like, I had a dad that only came to 2 of my games. 2 of them. I never missed any of them but 2, right? So, like, I was able to change the paradigm in my kid's life about what it means to show up because I was able to protect my time. It's important to protect your time. And I'm going to tell you this, whether you've been in this business for 1 year or you've been in this business for 20 years, the time to protect your time's now. It's not when you're over here. You know, in my mind, I have this distant place off to the right of my brain that one day when I get there and it's still like this, I'll be safe. It will be comfortable. Don't wait until you get there, because it's like Tony Robbins says, the road to someday leads to a town called nowhere. You need to do it now. You need to act like the rock star you are and show up that way. It's going to give your clients tremendous amount of confidence in you. It's going to help their experience. Now, we build trust and leadership with our clients by doing this, asking this one simple question right on the beginning of your relationship. You should all be pre-qualifying your buyers and your sellers. I ask every single client the same question. Do I have permission to be honest with you? No one's going to say no. Now, that is called future pacing. And the reason I'm calling it future pacing, I bring it back up in the listing presentation. When I have to say hard things, I go back. Hey, remember on the call when I was asking the questions, when we were setting the appointment? Remember I asked you, do I have permission to be honest? And they go, yeah. Well, this is that time. And if I say anything uncomfortable to you, I just want to ask you to take on, and I'm asking you guys this too on this call, and I'm asking the sellers this. If I say anything uncomfortable to you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller or Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I want you, instead of getting defensive and shunning it, I want you to own it for a minute and to dissect it. Is he telling me something that I know is right and I just don't want to deal with? Is he telling me something about my business or my house or my beliefs that I need to change? And I'm asking you that question because I've had to ask myself that question a long time. Spending 7 months in an inpatient drug rehab from 18 to 19, I had to ask myself a lot of uncomfortable questions. I've known 40 people plus that have died. They've OD'd from drug addiction, right? So I've dealt, like, this is child's play real estate, whether you get a listing or not. Like, I've dealt with many people that have OD'd and died, and it's sad. And it's the reality is they're not willing to change. And there was a great book a long time ago you guys should get. It's called Change or Die. It's a really good book called Change or Die. Nothing to do with real estate, nothing to do with sales, but it'll help you with your real estate and your sales. So number 2, you need to say hard things. Saying hard things now leads to easier. It now leads to easier for you and a smoother client relationship later. So when we're able to say something hard now, it's going to make things easier later. Zig Ziglar says, if you do what's easy now, your life's going to be hard later. If you do what's hard now, your life's going to be easier later. So let me ask you a question. How do we translate that to real estate? If I take an overpriced listing for $200,000 just because I want to get it under contract as a listing, am I setting myself up for an easy transaction or a hard one? If I do what's hard now, like I just sold a property that a top realtor group here in San Diego had listed for $1.688 million for 90 days, lowered it to $1.6 million. I get referred in by the next door neighbor who's a past client. They cancel with this new agent or old agent. They meet with me. And in that appointment, I asked them, can I be honest? So when I met with them, I said, yes. I go, you're overpriced and you need to put about 20 grand into your property. So I left there with them agreeing to put money in the property. Number 2, we listed the property from 1.449 to 1.499, depending on when the work got done, where the market was. We went live on the market for 1.449, and I double-ended the deal, and we sold it for $1,051,000 or $1,055,000. And he asked me at one point, the seller asked me to throw my commission in 1.5% of the buyer's side to help him make the deal work when they gave a request for repairs for $20,000 or $35,000. And I said this to the seller. I go, you know, I love you guys, right? And I've done everything I said I was going to do. Did your last agent that you listed with do everything they said they were going to do? And he said, no. Are you happier with me or him? Oh, no, much more happy. Robert, you got our home sold in 6 days. Okay, I had 37 showings, 9 offers, right? Yeah. So you're telling me, what I'm hearing you say is I've done my job, right? I go, then this is the deal. I'm just going to be as gentle and kind, and can I be honest with you? Yeah. My commission is not part of the negotiation. Why should I be penalized for doing my job and having to pay for the sin of the last agent? That's not fair, is it? You're asking me to bear that burden. I have to pay out people. Like, that's not fair. He goes, you're right, it's not. And I go, great. So we agreed on a $14,335 request for repairs credit. $22,000 they put in the property. They lowered the price from 1.6 million down to 1.449, and we got the property sold. And guess where I'm going to be when I come back in town from EXPCon? I'm at their house because his wife is making me 2 trays of baklava. That was the deal. If I get their home sold, they're Muslim, they're going to make me some good baklava. And she goes, Robert, can you smell it? I go, what? I got your baklava ingredients. I cannot wait to have you over. So, like, I was able to say something really hard to them, and they still love me. And I didn't have to give away $9,000 in commission, guys. Do you follow me? Don't throw money at things. Have a standard. So saying hard things now is going to lead to easier later. Avoid the common trap of telling your clients only what they want to hear is one point. Boost your conversion ratio is the other attribute you're going to get. You're going to boost your conversion ratio. 2, you're going to increase your profit. 4, you're going to attract and retain clients who enjoy to work with you. Who wants to do that? You're going to attract, and guess what, guys? If someone will respect you the first time, do you think they're going to respect you the second time? And the third time, fourth time, or like the Hicks, who I took out to dinner the week before last, we celebrated our 12th transaction together since 2015. So I took a shift in 2009 from this transactional prospecting-based business to a relationship business when I realized if I just pour into people that love me, like me, and trust me, I could get multiple transactions a year from them. I could get multiple transactions over a lifetime, and I could decrease the reactivity because I'm super high-strung guy, just how I roll sometimes. I'm very type A. I want to get on it. I don't want to be reactive all the time. I like being proactive, right? So you're going to separate the serious from the curious. And it's really like this, guys. You're telling them how you're going to do Disneyland. Even if they have the VIP pass, they still got to wait in line at Space Mountain. Do they not? It's a shorter line, but it's still a line. It's how we do things here at Robert Colello and Associates. And I call it Robert Colello and Associates family. You're part of the Robert Colello family. When they sign a contract with me, that's the first call my assistant makes. Part of the family. Okay? Now, setting expectations up front in the listing appointment, guys, this is huge. When you set listing appointment expectations up front, whatever you say hard now is going to make your life easier later. So this is what I want you guys to do. When I go on a listing appointment, because 98% close ratio for like 15 years, I'm not thinking anymore, am I getting the listing? Am I getting the commission? I don't think any of the concession. What I think now is this. Can I say really hard things that make me uncomfortable to them that I know is truthful, and they sign a contract with me? Can I say things to them that I know that I need to say, like that wall's purple? Like I told my last clients that were listed, hey, you have 3 bedrooms that are beautifully designed for your taste, but they're purple, red, and blue. Like we have the Smurfs in one room, we got Barney in the next, and then we have this like kick, like they had a gold stripe on one. I thought I was back in an 80s music video, I told them, right? I go, that's the impersonation that you're giving to the client that's walking through your house. We want to make your home vanilla, so we have an open palette. And I was able to be honest with them. I was able to be honest about the pool. Their pool needed to be resurfaced. They knew it. Guess what? In the request for repairs, that was the biggest issue, was the pool, and they wanted me to pay for it. And I was able to say, hey guys, remember I told you this at the listing appointment that this was going to be an issue, and you said it wasn't. And I told you with over 500 sales underneath my belt, I dealt with this many times. This is going to be an issue. And did I not say that? And they go, you did. See, what I did is I gave them a situation in the future. In NLP, it's called future pacing. So you need to make sure that with all of your client transactions and interactions, whether it's a buyer or seller, you're future pacing what's going to happen in the future that might be uncomfortable now. Do not do it just to make it easy, right? So 4 things I want you to write down when you're talking to your sellers in your listing presentation. 4 things. Number 1, we're in a price war and a beauty pageant. We're in a price war and a beauty pageant. Okay. I weave this in when I'm going through the right before I give them the price that I say, and I'm going through the comps. I go, hey, I want you guys to keep one thing in mind. When we're going through the comps, we're in a price war and a beauty pageant. And what does that mean? We're only going to bring your home to a certain level of finish. Okay. That's going to be as nice as it's going to be. We're only going to put so much money into it. That's as most beautiful as your property is going to be. Now, we can only focus on price. And price is the number 1 marketing tool we can use. We can never underprice a home, but we can always overprice a home. And the 2 things that you're going to tell a buyer that's educated by Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com, because they can see the last sales and they can see a lot more data than they used to, is that either A, you're out of touch with the market, or B, you're unrealistic. So let's just ask ourselves this, Mr. Seller, before we go through the comps. Do we want to be that kind of person? And let them answer. Because if you think of, no, you don't want to be that person, think about who wants to deal with someone unreasonable and out of touch. It's not someone you want to get in a relationship with, is it? Would you marry someone like that? Would you get into a big business dealing with a business person like that? No. So we cannot put our worst foot forward like that. And I just want you to keep that in mind before we go into the comps. Now, be comfortable with being uncomfortable with silence, guys. I know I'm talking fast because I want to get this information to you, but when I'm in an appointment, I'm saying these statements and I'm stopping and I'm letting them respond. I'm letting it sink in. I'm not just rattling off all this stuff and just fire hosing them. I'm letting it sink in. Now, the second thing I want you to write is there's 3 rounds of negotiating. This will keep 90% of your deals that would have fell out of escrow together. 90% together, okay? This is the deal. There's 3 rounds of negotiating. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to let you know this up front. When we get the offer and we accept it, that's just round 1. That's where we've agreed on price and terms. That's where a buyer's giving you a price that you're willing to accept and that you both can agree upon. Now the start of the race begins. It's called escrow. The second round is going to be condition. That's when they do their inspection. And now this is where you need to future pace them. Please plan on them giving you a request for repairs for $2,500 to $5,000, depending on the property. You can even say 10 or 20. Let them know in advance, because you know what happens when you don't let them know that? They literally get this request for repairs for $2,000 and they think it's the end of the world. And I can't believe they're telling me my kid's teeth are crooked. Well, have you seen Elizabeth's teeth in the mirror lately? They are a little crooked. We got to put a Invisalign on them. If you don't say it ahead of time, they're going to be offended and they're going to get in fight or flight and they're going to say, forget it. Here in San Diego, we have a thing called termites. Between Baja, Mexico and South San Clemente, we have the second most highest termite in the world concentration. Okay. And I let them know that ahead of time. So also plan to have between $2,000 to $4,000 in termite on top of that. I let them know that, and I let them know ahead of time. Number 2, the third round, you need to let them know, is going to be value. That's the appraisal. Once we get through all those rounds, then we are in the clear for the most part, once the buyer removes all their contingencies. So I don't want you backing up any of your bags. I don't want you, as soon as we go into escrow, packing up bags and going out and looking at houses. No. We need to make this show ready, because number 1, if you pack your bags up, you're going to be in a weak position. We're not calling off staging until all of the contingencies are removed, okay? All of the contingencies are removed. I tell them this up front. So guess what? When this stuff happens, they're still going to have a reaction. But I remind them of what I said. On a side note, when you're doing requests for repairs, this is a bonus action for you, little secret sauce. You show bad news and you tell good news. Never go over a big request for repairs with your seller over the phone, and never do it in the middle of the day or in the morning. Even if you get it in the morning or in the middle of the day, send it at 5:05, or if you end at 5:30, have your assistant send it to yourself at 5:25 and tell the seller, we got a request for repairs, please review it, and I'm available tomorrow afternoon at 2:00 to go over it with you. Why do you think I want to do that, guys? Because they're going to have a reaction. And if they have a reaction, it's kind of like if you're a husband, you see your credit card bill and you see your wife just went on a shopping spree she didn't tell you about, you're reactive, right? If you didn't realize it was for your birthday, you don't realize, you get some context behind it, you get sober-minded. I need to let them throw up on themselves. They're entitled to do that. I don't want to get it on me. Then I'm going to speak to them when they're sober-minded, and now they've got to think through the process. And now what I'm going to say is not going to be in a hijacked fight or flight lens in their brain. It's going to be in a calm lens. Because, guys, there's 3 things that we have to manage really well. We have to manage the sale. We have to manage the expectation. We have to manage their emotions. If you're thinking it's just sales, then you're wrong. If you think it's just relationship, you're wrong. And you probably don't think about their emotions. We got to manage their emotions. So then number 3, future pace them on the request for repairs and termites. You future pace them on the appraisal. And then number 4, there's 3 places. This is back when your house, when we're going over pricing and we're going over hitting the open market, I'm going to tell them, like, listen, based on what we see the market right now, it's a very fluid market. This is the price we agree on, right? Perfect. I want you to understand, I don't need 3 months to figure out if your home's priced right or not. This is the deal. You're going to end up in one of 3 places. You're going to end up in accepted, rejected, or ignored. And you know what the good news is? I'm going to be able to tell you within the first 7 to 14 days. So after on the market for 7 to 14 days, we're either going to be accepted. And do you know what that means, Mr. Seller? And now I have a picture on my listing presentation with someone shaking hands. I have a picture for rejected, someone like putting their hand on their head and like rejected. And I have another place with the husband and wife on a separate part of the couch looking away from each other for ignored. And I say this, you're going to end up accepted. That means we have a lot of showings and a lot of offers. Number two, you're going to end up rejected, meaning it's kind of like you put your high school picture on Christian Mingle and they come see you and you don't quite have as much hair as you used to, or you don't fit in that dress anymore. You know what? And they walk away. So they came and saw the house, but they just didn't represent the same on the internet as it did in person, and no offers. Or you're going to be completely ignored. Like, and I say this anytime there's a husband there, I go to the wife, I go, Samantha, me and Tom don't like ending up on that end of the couch where you're ignoring us. We hate that. That means there's no offers. There's no showings. So guys, in 7 to 14 days, I'm going to be able to tell you emphatically that we need to lower the price 5 or 10%, 10 or 50 grand. You're going to just tell them that ahead of time. So guess what? When the time comes and you're going to do your Friday update call, which is something I do, because I don't talk to my clients Monday through Thursday. I talk to them on Fridays with an update, unless there's a negotiation. That's a whole nother training. But I tell them, hey, listen, I send an email. I have my assistant or myself send it. Hey, this is the activity for the week. This is the Zillow hits. This is how many saves. This is how much feedback. Based on this, it shows us that we are in the ignored. We're in the accepted. We're in the rejected. And then when I talk to them, hey, we're going to make a price adjustment. Never say a reduction. Never say reduction. What is reduction? You're taking something away from them that was never theirs. We're going to adjust. What are we adjusting? We're adjusting the price to the expectation of the buyer in the market. We're not taking something away from them. When you say reduction, they think you're taking something away from them. So we're going to do that. Now, this is my listing process from a very high level, okay? Very high level. Number one, and then we're going to land the plane for some Q&A. Number one, I do a pre-qualification with every single seller. I never show up to their property until that's done. And this is the uncomfortable part for some of you guys. Some of you guys are afraid to pre-qualify because it might be your only lead. This might be the only person that you've seen in the last 6 months. I'm just being honest. I've seen it in offices. You need to pre-qualify everybody. Inspect what you expect. And ask permission in there. There's two things that you got to riddle in there. I have a whole pre-qualified script, but I ask permission from the beginning. Can I be honest with you? And then when I get to the part about price, I ask them, hey, listen, what price do you want to list your home for when I see you on Thursday at 4 o'clock? They tell me, great. If I brought, as a professional agent, I study homes and price every day. Therefore, I assume that you're going to list with me at a price that's going to cause your home to sell, correct? Yeah. You don't want it to sit on the market for a long period of time, do you? No. So what price won't you go below? And they're going to tell you, well, I want to stick pretty much close to that. Well, what happens if we had a cash buyer and then throw 50 grand under, 100 grand under, 20 grand under? Start low, like 100 grand if you're in $1 million plus, and let them say, well, if it was cash, maybe I'd consider it. Ooh, that they're really not set on that price. And if they say no, keep bringing it up until you get them to where they're like, I would consider that. Now ask them this question. Please describe your home for me. And then you're going to find out when you ask them to describe your home, are they an analytical? Are they a driver? Are they expressive? Are they amiable? And then you're going to know how to present to them. Do you need to be bullet point? Do you need to be a lot of pictures, stats, charts? And then after they describe, whether it takes them 2 minutes for a driver, or if it takes them 3 hours for an analytical or expressive, you're going to ask them this. What do you feel is positive or negative about your home that will have an effect on the sale? And then be quiet. So they're going to tell you everything positive, right? But then when they tell you the negative stuff, guess what? They've just told on themselves. I'm too close to the highway. I have power lines running across the house. There's a sewage plant down the street. My house smells like crap all the time. Blah, blah. There's a pig farm. Whatever they tell you. Now, when you go to the pricing, you're going to remind them of that. And you're not the one that had to point that out. They did. They did, right? Okay, so now that's how we pre-qual. We send a pre-listing package always, and don't send a price. I know some people send the prices. I just don't send the price. I do ask them on the pre-qual, hey, if I see that there's a big disconnect on price, do I have permission to call you? And permission to call you with any other questions? Because if you think your home's worth 500 grand more than it is, do I have permission just to call you and tell you it's not so we can decide if we're going to meet or not? Yeah, sure. A lot of times if we're 100 grand off, 200 grand off, 50 grand off, depending on the price range, I can handle that, no problem. But if I sent that ahead of time, they're going to self-eliminate themselves. But I send them a pre-qualification or pre-listing package. Then in that pre-listing package, you need to have this in there. Number one, you have to have who you are. Number two, you have to have what you do. Number three, you have to have testimonials. Now with digital packages, have a testimonial where they can click a YouTube. And number four, you got to have the comps in there. Then I go to the property and I do a listing appointment. And when I'm in the listing appointment, I do it real simple, 4-stepper. I walk through the property with them and I let them show me the property. I get to build a little bit of rapport. Number two, I sit down with them and I call it the pre-listing appointment. Tell me your concerns. Sometimes we spend an hour in this and they tell me everything they're concerned about and I address them. I don't address them one by one. I tell them, I write notes. I'm going to handle these all at once. So give me everything. Is there any more? Is there any more? Is there any more? Is there any more? And then before we go into the concerns, if I could wave a magic wand over this process for you, what would it look like for you? 90 days from now, you're sitting on your back step of your new house, drinking coffee. What does it look like? Now they're going to tell you exactly what they're hoping for. You're going to be able to handle their expectations. Now you jump into the rest of the presentation. Why do we do this? Because number one, it's going to be an opportunity to be fairly honest with them. And number two, you're helping them take off their blinders to you that they're not going to be able to listen to anything you're saying in your listing presentation because they have a concern in their subconscious they need to deal in their conscious. Once I do that, I then go through my marketing. And this marketing, go through marketing. How you get amazing results for your clients. Like, how do I get 5 to 8% more than the average agent in San Diego? True. How do I do it? This is how I do it. Secret sauce. Then 3, go through the comps. Go through the comps and net sheets. And then this is you do. I always have my binder with the listing contract on the right. I have their tax roll on the left. I have the comps behind that. And I have their net sheets turned facing in so they never can see them. So when I ask them at the end of going through comps, hey, based on the competition, what price do you feel like we should use to create value in the eyes of the buyer to get them to buy our listing versus the competition? See, I'm already part of the equation, right? I put myself in there. Our listing instead of the competition's. And then they're half the time they say they give me a price. The other half of the time they say, what do you want? What do you think? I go, listen, you know what I have on this other side of this paper? Your net sheets. It's in ink. I'm not going to change it. I want to know what you think. And then they tell me, and then I show them the net sheets. And then important on the net sheets, you always highlight the price in green or yellow, and you always circle in blue their net. It's a common color. It's a common. Don't use red. That's alerting. I thought I was going to make more than that, right? Always in blue. Now you look at that number and say, hey, based on that, was that going to help you make this move? And then shut up. They say, yes, perfect. You don't need to go into all the fees and everything. Just say, listen, this is from escrow. Every line fee is on here, from my commission to the $20 courier fee to your taxes to your payoff for your loan, your home equity line, everything. Wow, that's how much I'm going to make? Yeah, I'm good. Great. Now you close. Step 4, close for the signature. Great. Do you feel comfortable working with me? Yes. Do you feel like I can help you achieve your goal and get you top dollar for your home? Great. Then all we have to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want in the time you want. Won't that be great? Yeah, sign the contract. And as you're asking, slip it over.
Robert, what was when me and you were chatting in Scottsdale, and you were like, you said, me and you were talking about how we get people to convert, and you said something about where the guy was like, well, you were like, well, I'm only going to make an extra $75 on that.
Or the $1,000. Okay, so this is the deal. If I don't get a lot of commission kickbacks, and I get a good commission, like I get a full commission. I can't talk about commissions here because I can't set it, but I can just say I'm not discount. Okay. And this is the deal. Me and Nathan and TJ were talking about if people come at you for your commission. I'm like, listen, you want me to lower the commission. I get it. Why? Okay. Let's just think about this logically. I'm getting $60 for every $1,000 I get you. You're paying $60, which 80% of the time, I don't get the whole $60. I have to split it with the other agent, but that means you're netting $940. So let me understand your thought process. Why do you want to penalize the captain of the sales ship who's fiercely fighting for the top net for you by bickering over $10? And then now they're like, I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
Like that's $60 to your 1,000. So he's saying 6% listing. Like that was like mind blowing to me. Like I was like, wow, that's really good. That's really good. And I countered Robert back where I have told you guys I get real granular, where the same way Robert puts people into positions of having to answer their own questions, I do the same thing in my negotiation tactics. If I've got people who won't push the deal to get the deal done, I know their net number. I know how much money they're going to make. When the offer comes in, I can already do the math. If I'm going to go ahead and start a negotiation process, a lot of times if I already know my seller well enough, which I should, I know they're probably going to give me pushback. So I go to them and I say, hey, like, let me ask you something. I sold you this property for $1 million 5 years ago. If I told you that in 5 years, no matter which way you slice it, you have to sell this home, but I told you that you were going to make 500 grand on it. And so let's say I got it listed for $1.7 million. And I say, but you have to, no matter what, you have to sell that home, but you're going to make 500 grand. Would you do that deal? And
all day.
Yeah, I would. Okay, cool. Well, let me tell you about this offer that's going to net you 500 grand. You know, and then if they get even more granular in that, where they're like, well, you know, like we've held this and we've got this, we've got that, you know, I'm like, okay, well, let me do this a little bit different for you then. Let me ask you this. If in 5 years I said that you were going to make 500 grand, and so let's say, what was that? So that's $100,000. So if I said in 5 years you were going to make, just for waking up, breathing, and living and enjoying this home that you and your wife got to enjoy for the last 5 years, if I told you I was going to pay you $8,300 a month just to enjoy this house, would you do that deal? Well, yeah. Well, that's what I'm giving you right now. That's what I'm giving you right now. And so I love your takeaways, Robert, but I also love that you make them answer their own questions. The same way you're like, tell me the positive and the negatives about your house. You're telling on yourself. Answer the question. The same way you told me you would take the deal if I would have brought you $500,000. You're telling on yourself. I love that, Robert. But that hit home so hard to me, dude. You're really gonna get me. I'm making 60 on, and you're making 1,000. You're really gonna get me on that? Like, I love that. Love it.
Come on, somebody. Well, listen. With that being said, we can transition to the Q&A now, because I went through everything I wanted to share with you guys in the time that I have, and I would love to take any questions, any comments, any things, like any pro tips like Nathan or TJ just gave you. That's a pro tip right there. You see how he broke it down to what I call to the ridiculous? He broke it down to the ridiculous. $8,300 a month for living here. Would you do that? Or do you want to pay, $5,000 a month to rent the same property and get nothing back? No tax write-off, nothing. Like, break it down to the ridiculous. Break it down to the ridiculous.
Dan?
Yeah, two things. I like how you say, when you go in there, you're ready to walk away at any point in time, which is, I think, how you need to go into a listing, because I think sellers can definitely sense that. And also, like you're saying, you're establishing, your worth. Two things. Do you talk about, set the expectation on, traffic and how many showings you have within, monthly, weekly? Do you kind of set the expectations like, hey, if we get a certain amount, of people through the homes, this is kind of a good number. If not, then we need to look at adjusting. Do you kind of have that talk about traffic and how much showings there will be? And then second part, on the listing price, I always give kind of a range, obviously, that you like them to answer at first, but if they're going to be higher than what you want, I always give them a range, just because it's a lot better than painting yourself in a corner. You give that price, and then that doesn't come to fruition. So just kind of your thoughts on that.
So Dan, these are great questions. So number one, as far as traffic, you don't want to say something that's going to get you stuck in a box either, but you need to know the market, right? This is why, like, after this call, I'm jumping on with my team call, and we're going to go over the market. We go nationally and locally. So if you see things have slowed down, then you say, don't be surprised if we don't get, more than 1 or 2 showings, 5 showings a week, right? But what I just simply do is this. I like to look at Zillow. Since everybody likes Zillow, and Zillow has this really cool feature, how many views and how many saves. And I just set the seller's expectation. When we're getting 5% or higher save rate, we're hitting the money. 5% or more save rate. So guess what? Now I go to the empirical data, not my opinion. Hey, like I just had to do this with a listing, which another cancel listing was listed at 1.675 million. We're in escrow right now. I listed it for 1.525. I told them it was worth 1.4 and change. They're going through divorce. And I go, listen, you overpriced it before. This is overpricing. Well, we're going to do it for a certain amount of time, but then we're lowering it. And we did. And we're in escrow right now for $1,410,000. And how did I get the wife to come to my side? The husband was already there. I just said, listen, blank, look at Zillow. In Zillow, we've literally had 27 showing or 2,700 people seen it. We've had 61 people save it. We've had, or 62 people save it. We've had 31 people come through your property. That means half of the people that have saved it have come through. We've received 3 offers and none of them have been where you want to be. So remember when I told you before in our listing appointment, pointing back, you could either be in touch or out of touch with the market. I know you want this price. She's like, yeah, but I need to have this price. You know, I got these bills, I got this. And I go, hey, I understand you have bills. I understand things are going to change greatly when you sell and you move on from this relationship because her husband makes a lot of money, ex-husband. But I'm going to tell you something that's factual. Can I be honest with you? Yeah. No buyer is ever putting in their thought process how much money you need because you have bills and how much they're going to pay you. Do you know what they are putting in their thought process? They're putting in their thought process what they think the value of your property is, because that's really what your property's worth, what a willing and able buyer's willing to pay for it. So segueing back to the appointment, we're going to know within the first 1 to 2 weeks if we end up in one of those 3 places. If we're accepted, we have no talk. We have tons of showings and tons of offers. We're going to be talking over the offers. If we have a lot of showings and no offers, then we're going to talk. And if we have no showings and no offers, we're going to talk. So based on this, every week, I'm going to promise you this, that we're going to do 5 things, and they're all with P's. We're going to put your home on the MLS. We are going to proactively prospect looking for buyers. We are going to pray, because I'm a Christian. I'm going to pray it gets sold. I'm going to make sure that we proactively look at the market and make sure that, hey, I am price watching and making sure that I'm making adjustments on the market. And I'm going to be honest with you, and we're going to pivot anytime we need to pivot, because if we don't, when a market's going up or down and you're on the wrong step and you are behind, you can keep doing price adjustments. We're going to proactively price watch to make sure that we stay in front of the market. Fair enough. So I'm just telling what's going to happen, because if you're not Houdini, you don't know exactly what it's going to sell. Zillow doesn't know. The guy that owns Zillow he sold his house 9 years ago and it said his home was worth 1.4 million. It sold for 1.2 million. And then the Z estimate, 1.6, the Z estimate went down to 1.45, and his home sold for 1.2. The CEO of Zillow, right? Yeah. The second thing you asked here is range price. One of the things that I'm really good about doing too, that I didn't talk about in the presentation, is this. 85% of my clients put money in their house. I alluded to it with the people I told you put 20 grand in. 85% of my clients put money in. What does that mean? We have vendors in their house like ants, and they're building the ant mound, and it takes 3 to 10 weeks to get that built up. Once it's done, we revisit. So I do like price range in this sense. Here's 3 net sheets, high, medium, low. You know what? This is where I think, and I always point to the low. We're going to be happy here. This is reality. Anything above it's gravy. We're going to reassess your value after the projects are done. I will tell you, I'm probably not going to change the value, just telling you up front. But if something drastically has happened, I'm open to that. And they're like, okay. And then now 99% of the time, Dan, I never change the price. I keep it the same, even if it was listed 3 months ago. Because why? You can never underlist a property, but you can overlist it.
But Robert, so I think to Dan's question too, how many showings does it take for you to consider it accepted versus rejected?
Accepted isn't showings, it's offers. If you're not getting offers, you're not accepted.
So what happens when you get into a position where, you've got some low offers, but let's say you don't get any offers, but let's say you had 25 showings in the first 2 weeks. So it's accepted, but what's the next step being that? So it's the property is accepted, the price is rejected.
So no, it's rejected. It's under the rejecting category. Remember, the definitions are real simple. Accepted, lots of showings, lots of offer. Rejected, showings, no offers or low offers. Ignored, no offers.
Got it.
And I
Yeah,
tell
so
them
like
upfront,
when
it's
I
7
go
to
in,
14 days.
yeah, so like when I go into that listing appointment, yeah, I talk with them always kind of about showings, but it's a good point about talking like, hey, if we're not, if we haven't gotten an offer within that first couple weeks, I mean, then, but how's your market there? Like, are you,
This market's, we have 3.2 months of inventory. So anything 4 months or under is a seller market, but we're getting to the top of that. We were at 3.4 and we're heading down for the last 2 months. So as interest rates are going down, so we're a warm market, not white hot. But this is the deal, Dan, it only takes one offer. I can tell you this year, it's considerably higher in the last since 22, how many properties we put into escrow that have 1 to 3 offers versus 5 to 20 offers, right? So I'm just looking for that one offer to get them in escrow. So to me, it's like, did we get the offer? And hey, if we got that offer 2 weeks ago and you don't like it, well, that's because you're not in reality. So this is the mindset I wanted you to have with the sellers that I have, because I future pace them in the listing appointment that we are going to talk about a price adjustment, not reduction, within 7 to 14 days. On the very first Friday check-in call, I'm already talking about what's going to happen next week if we don't get an offer this weekend. Hey, Dan, hey, great talking with you here. I'm calling you with the Friday update. Okay, so we went on the market last week. We've had 5 showings, no offers. We've had this many saves on Zillow, this many views. We got this many requests or no requests. So remember the 3 categories we talked about? Accepted, rejected, ignored? Yeah. Okay, so based on this activity, if it carries on, we're going to be in the rejected category. We're not in the ignored, which is good, but we're not in the accepted either. So the good news is this: we just got to make a minor adjustment. When we make that minor adjustment, I can get you into the accepted category. So if we don't get any offers this weekend, when we talk next week, we're going to be talking about making a price adjustment. Okay?
Yeah, and I like doing that too, because you're getting a yes from them, but they're like, oh, I still have time to potentially get this price, but then they're already committed to it next week if it doesn't happen. So you're getting them that yes, and where if you ask them for it, hey, I want, let's get the reduction today. It may be a no, but they're committed to that yes in a week from now because they remember what they said. So I like that.
And be willing to tell them the hard stuff. Yes, Nathan.
You're muted, bud.
The thing that I'm hearing the most too, Robert does, that I think a lot of us don't do, he does a follow-up once a week on his listings. And he has that conversation to forecast what that next week's going to look like if it doesn't happen this weekend. What a lot of people do, they list the property. 3 months later, they've had hardly any conversations. At this point, it's been sitting on the market, and they're like, well, where the hell have you been the whole time? And I think we got to get in the mindset, if you're taking a listing, you need to give a once a week report on what the forecast is, what has happened. I love the fact, because people are addicted to searching on Zillow. I mean, they get 250 million views a quarter, I think, or even more than that. I love that to say, based on how many views you're getting on Zillow, we want a 5 to 7% save ratio. And I guess on Zillow, it's showing total views, and then the amount of saves, right? So I think that's a way to automatically have them looking at this. Oh shit, we're not getting 5% saves.
So Nathan, could I say something about that? Because what he's saying is gold. Take that down. Take the notes, right? Like I'm telling you, guys have 2 captains of the ship here at Abbott, the Nathan Abbott group here, Abbott Martin group. I'm dyslexic. Remember, one of my D's was dyslexic. You have two killers here. You hear both of them, their feedback, 8,300 a month. Hey, the 7%. Hey, like they're picking right up on this stuff. They're coming. They have their own talk tracks. This is the deal. Everything we're saying is setting it up to help your client deal with reality at a much better, faster pace, because if it's not working, the quicker they understand it, the better it is for them. So this is what I did. The 1.688 million listing that I had the bad pool and we sold it for $1,500,000. So I didn't tell you this either. I sell homes in an average of 6 days. 6 days. 85% of my homes are gone in 6 days. So that's a tough conversation to have with some of the analyticals. Super analyticals here, because they're like, well, was it a long time? Was it enough time? So this is what I do. I just point to the data. The empirical data doesn't have feelings. So then I go, hey, when they asked me, Robert, he was an engineer. Yes, sir, goes, hey, Robert, okay, great. I like that we had 37 showings. You did more showings in one weekend than we had for 90 days with the last agent. You had 9 offers, Robert. We didn't even get 6 offers. You know, we got nothing. But do you think we should just wait for another weekend? And I go, well, let's look at the data. I don't, but don't take my word for it, because I'm not going to lick my finger and put it in the air. What I'm going to do is show you the proof, and the pudding is right here. Let's just look at one website, just Zillow, isolate one website. I have you on 933 websites, but let's just isolate one. See, I'm painting a bigger picture, right? But we're just going to focus on a tile of the mosaic. And there's 2,700 people that have seen your home. We have over 100 saves. We had over 37 showings. We have over 9 offers. 1/3 of the people that saw it wrote an offer. Guys, you just answered your own question. In 90 days, you didn't even have 37 showings, right? And you had less than 3 offers? So right now we're getting exceptional activity and response. Based on this, I don't believe we're going to get anything more out of the market than we've already gotten. And the quicker we go into escrow, the better it's going to be for everybody. We don't want to lose the momentum of a very motivated buyer who I've just got up $50-something thousand over the price. And then they're like, huh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, just look here. We got 7% save ratio. And out of those people came here. And oh, by the way, that's just one mosaic of the tile. You probably have like 15,000 people that have seen your home. So if 15,000 people, and let's just pare it down and say 7,000 saw your home with 3.5 million people in San Diego, it's very doable. And you're one of the most desirable zip codes, right? Poway School District. Yeah. If they wanted to see your home, they would have came, because we did some pre-marketing, didn't we? Yeah. Okay. You don't want to scare away these great buyers, do you? No. Your bridge loans do, right? Yes. Do you like holding $18,000 a month in payments? No. When do you want that to stop? Now. Okay, let's do the right next thing and accept this offer. Yeah, you're right, Robert. It's just bring them down to their own, bring them down.
Your hand is up.
Yeah, let's get 2 more questions because of the time. Amanda, what's your question?
It wasn't a question, it was more of a comment, but I started doing a tough seller that like had it listed before with somebody else. And then I was doing a weekly report. I was doing it on Mondays though, like after the weekend, but it was interesting because she came down 50 grand from where she was before, but my original price suggestion, this is a small townhome. It was only $499. And she came down from $599 to $550. I agreed to do that for the first 30 days. But I told her from the beginning it needed to be at $499. And then each week I was sending the marketing like, okay, we did this. We sent out 1 million, this many emails. We had this many saves on Zillow, this many views. And her views were pretty good, but 0 showings. The entire first 30 days, 0 showings. She's like, I don't understand. I'm giving her the update every single week of the market. She said, well, we need to do more marketing. I said, we can go back to the weekly reports. We've done tons of marketing. I know how to market a house. But we've had, actually had good saves on Zillow, but no showings. Well, I don't understand what the problem is. You got to do something more. I said, the problem is the price. We're not where it needs to be yet. I said, I've told you from the beginning, it needs to be at $499. She still didn't go straight there. She went to $525 and then $515 and then $499. Eventually we get her there. We still only had 1 showing, but that 1 showing is about to put an offer in. So, she's like, I'm just so surprised. I don't understand. I'm like, oh, I understand. It's exactly what we talked about in the beginning, So what I thought would happen with this approach is exactly what's happening. But we can still get there. We just need your willingness to understand what's going on in the market,
Can I point something out that Amanda just
interesting.
said as a stud too, because she is an Abbott, is she was fearless with the truth in the beginning. Not everybody's going to take the spoon of medicine in the first week. That's not her fault. She just if they take a month, they take 2 months. I've had some sellers take 3 months. Like I'm hitting down the door, knocking on the door, and my messaging is consistent. They eventually sell, right? So she had a consistent message and she's going to sell. Can I give you like a talk track to that? Because I just helped one of the people that I was divorcing, and she's a head of marketing. She was telling me and her mom's an agent in the East Coast. We need to do more. She goes, I think I need you here to show the property. That's what it is. You're an amazing salesperson. I'm like, you know what that's like? Having two used car salesmen overlooking someone's back. They're not going to say nothing. They don't look at me as a source of reference or like, oh, this makes me feel comfortable. They're just going to be like tight-lipped. You know how I
Makes
know?
it worse, actually.
It's going to make it worse. She goes, well, we need to do something different. I go, listen, Amanda, and I said this with her husband on the phone. Amanda, I could literally put a balloon over your house, a hot air balloon. I could have a huge 500-foot blow-up gorilla shaking in the wind, pointing everybody in San Diego to your house. And guess what we're going to do? We're just going to increase the level of traffic, and we're going to continue to keep the same amount of results. All we're going to do is instead of having 30 people come through your house, which you complained about, we're going to have 350 people come through your house, and they're going to have the same exact consensus. Your home's worth 1.4 million.
Right.
So the reality is exactly what Amanda said. We're in a price war and a beauty contest. You're not buying your home, and I'm not buying your home. The buyers are buying your home, and the consensus is this is where your home's worth. So either you could be in reality, or each month that goes by, you have a $10,000 mortgage payment. We've now are clipping 2 of those down. That's 20 bands, $20,000 you pay to mortgages. When I told you my narratives haven't changed since day one. Now we're going to go into $30,000. Guess what? That means if we get 1.410 now, you would have really got 1.44.
Yeah, and then they're actually getting a lower price than they could have. It's just so frustrating. Like I've got a few of those right now.
Yeah,
too.
so just make sure you're having that narrative and talk.
Yeah, that your Friday updates, creating that cadence is imperative, I think, because it keeps you in front of them, it keeps you engaged, and they have to hear it, and they then in turn expect it. So it's not like, oh, I haven't heard from you in 2 months, and now you want me to lower the price. It's like, hey, you remember what we said last week? Hey, you remember what we said the week before that? Hey, you remember what we said? So there's always this repetition of being able to come back to where they can't waver from it. Like they can't bullshit their way through it. And I love that. That's a great.
What are you guys doing for your feedback? This is the other important ingredient. You have to be consistent getting feedback from the agents. And what I tell them in the listing appointment is if the showing happens before 3:00, we have about an 80% chance of getting that feedback today. If it happens after 3:00, 3:30, it's going to be tomorrow, because once they're done showing your property, they're off to soccer, dinner, whatever, and it's hard to get a hold of them. So given that expectation, let them know you're going to honor their time for making the house nice, because nothing ticks off a seller more than making the house show ready and you never get back to them the feedback and you call them in 3 months. You need to get back to them and set that expectation. It'll be before 3 that day, after 3 the next day, and always just text them. But when you give them the feedback, you need to send it in print. You need to put it in, put it in a ChatGPT, put all the feedback and say, this is my seller, this is what they're like, and this is what I need to convey. Bam. And have the same theme, or text it to them. Now, what happens is you have an archive of information you're sending to them, and it's empirical data. It's not coming from you. And now you can just track it. Hey, this has been a theme. They don't like your purple wall. This has been a theme. They don't like the being so close to the road. This has been a theme. We need to change. We need to change. We need to change. Because one of the things that sellers have a hard time with is thinking that price solves everything. But guess what? I had a brand new build that we just sold, and they were ticked off because 1970 homes were selling before theirs. And I go, this is the deal. If we continue to bring the price to the buyer's expectation, they're going to have a reality check. You have a 3-story house that no one likes. No one likes 3-story houses. I didn't sell it to you. I'm sorry you bought it. I would have winged you away from it. But the fact is you have a 3-story house. Oh, and by the way, you're behind an open field, and San Diego is not good because of fire. It's not cool anymore to have an open space behind you like it used to be. And the mountain view is taken away because all the brush, it looks like an inferno that's about to happen. But I can tell you this, once the price gets at the right expectation of a buyer, they're going to have to deal with reality. I'm willing to schlep 3 levels for brand new instead of 1971 or 2 level. It's going to happen. And it did. You know what I mean? But the price is going to help the buyer get into that reality.
Love it.
Well, Robert, gosh, man, like every time that I communicate with you, I mean, raise your hand if you got some value from Robert today. He crushes it. Really appreciate all of y'all coming on. We're going to be hosting a masterclass every month. So we have my good friend Abel's going to be doing the one in November. He absolutely crushes it in down in Miami area. TJ and I got to tour his office. And this is the beautiful thing about collaboration. Regardless of what broker that you're at, you need to dig deep and just see, are people communicating on this level? Because I get so much insight from players that are willing to share. What you'll notice in any market, the top percentage of that market, people think that they're against each other in this like abrasive competition. We're actually sharing ideas. And so you got to search for that, because I get more from agent to agent than I ever have from any other layer. And agents are your best customers. If you see someone that's growing, asking for more information, if you're having struggle, surround yourself around someone that's doing it better than you are. And the sharing is what makes this business great, because if we can all share together, we can all work together, then we're going to have better deals. We're going to have better output, and we're going to make our market a lot better. Can't wait till we get back to 3 or 4 months of inventory. We have about 10 to 12 months here because everyone left California to come to Florida, raised our price points, and now we're in the aftermath of trying to make it right again. But we're getting there. And I do think I want to end it with this. I was at a Real Producers Convention. It's all about price for the current market. And if you can't be pricing it where you think it should have been, where the prices were before, and where you think the prices are going to be in the future, you have to price it at where the market is saying right now. The positive is if your customer is not being realistic to that and they're willing to have the holding power, be okay to tell them that, because there is some light at the end of the tunnel. The most pessimistic national advisors are showing that over the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to have an 8% increase in price. The most optimistic ones are showing about a 25 to 29% in price. They are saying that we're coming out of the post-COVID drought and we're starting to enter the recovery. But with that being said, if you're wanting to sell today, the future and the past doesn't matter. It matters what's happening right now, and being consistent on giving them feedback. Jonathan, you and I dealt with that with the Bayfront deal, right? If we were hitting them up every Friday, this is an ongoing pricing strategy. Our goal is to sell it at the highest price in the quickest amount of time. We would have gotten that home sold likely, right? We can all get better, and you all got to let your pride down a little bit and say, hey, can I learn? Can I learn new things? Can I apply? The biggest quote that you said that I loved is, what was it? Listening just to, learning new things and not applying is entertainment. Take something that you learned today, actually apply it in your new listing appointment. I took 5 pages of notes. I'm going to recorded the notes, recorded the session today. I'm going to make sure to send that out to everybody. I'm actually going to be posting it on my Facebook page. And I'm going to put it, we have a group called Amplify Collection. Amplify Collection, it's a place that we're going to be sharing events and stuff that we're doing. It's broker agnostic. We'd love to have you continue to join us. Invite your friends next time. I want to continue seeing this grow, so we build a really awesome group of folks in our industry that are working with each other versus against each other to have better results. So thank you so much for joining, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. You're the man,
Thank
dude.
you, guys.
Thanks, Robert.
Hey, I
Thank you.
appreciate you guys. If you guys have anybody in San Diego, let me know. Love to take care of you. And if you guys want any coaching or any resource or have any questions, you can find me at robertsold.com, and I'm here to help. Nathan and TJ, you guys are awesome. I love what you guys are doing here. Have a great day. See you guys in Miami.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
God bless.
Bye-bye.